Arizona. I have with me Lucas Mulliken. He's an independent freelance reporter who's in the streets of Arizona. Right now, he is in front of one of the Trump protest rallies in Maricopa County. Lucas, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, so this has been probably day 2 or 3 of people coming out to the recorder's office. This is Maricopa County, which has Phoenix, Arizona, which is one of the largest cities in the U.S. There's still millions of people here that have, kind of been making the shift over from a red state into a more blue state, and so these people are showing up to express their thoughts about the current direction and how the ballots are being counted. They're here pushing for a lot more accountability with just in transparency. Last night there was a lot of issues with people saying, oh, there weren't any actual Republican observers inside, and now these people are here on the ground making a force out in front of this building. Last night we had a lot of issues with people threatening, protesters here threatening press and engaging folks, and because of that, we saw Maricopa County come out this morning and build a whole protective wall around, kind of to divide not only the press and the protesters and things, the demonstrators, but also the workers, and because they were afraid of being followed to their cars and stuff like that. So this has been a continuation. There's been several spots around the city of Phoenix today where they've had organizing just to basically bring awareness to the fact that they don't think there's a free and fair election going on right here. And so this is the evening where lots of people will keep saying, did you bring a sleeping bag? We're staying the night. We're not leaving until, we're sure that the business of the election is done.
Can you tell us a little bit about what they're saying? I see that there's a ton of people gathered in the center. What are they mostly saying out there?
Yeah, so it's just a lot of basically, similar to things you would see in online forums and stuff where people are discussing, the truths and discussing, what situations they've heard. There's definitely a lot of, being the more objective person, I'm hearing a lot of rumors and things that are very unsubstantiated kind of flying around. So it's definitely, there are people that are concerned about the democratic process, but there's also a lot that are just here because they are in blind support of Trump, and that's what they want. So not all of them have necessarily, credible reasons to think that there's not an election, not fair election going on, but everyone's here being present. And I think one of the major things we've seen here in Arizona is they gave away a bunch of Sharpies instead of actually using ballpoint pens for the ballots. And because of that, they had, bleeding through. They had, some people were concerned about how their ballots might be voided or might not might need to be counted by hand. But we actually saw, Katie Hobbs come on, and she's the Attorney General here in Arizona, and she talked about how, everything's being counted, even if it takes multiple times by hand. And so trying to put people's fears at rest. But, honestly, when people are going on social media and they're going into a whole bunch of different, forums that are really just staunchly upset about, various things. Truth is almost a little bit hard to find in these places. So that's kind of what the overall discussion is just people trying to come to a common collective discourse about what's happening.
Lucas, do you? I know this is more of a Trump rally or support group, but do you know of any of the feelings from the liberal or the left-leaning side of the community? Right now, Biden's only ahead by about 60,000 votes in Arizona, but there's still many more votes that can be counted. Do you think that the people in the community are nervous or afraid that they could actually lose?
I mean, as far as people on that side, yeah, I definitely see that as a concern. But a lot of people are stoked by, the preliminary results and what they're seeing, and just in general. I mean, living in this state the past 13 years, this is a major blue shift. Not just with the presidential election, but the Senate race, with things like recreational cannabis, tax on food and things. So we are leaning more towards these progressive things, but in that same regard, I think there's still a lot of uncertainty, and people are, wondering when the final call is going to be made as far as, the state of Arizona.
Right. Lucas, it's just really amazing to see how many people are out there. I guess also with the fear of COVID-19 still being, it's still in the middle of a pandemic. I see there's a good amount of people there that aren't wearing masks. Is this something that you also are noticing?
Yeah, 100%. I think most of the people wearing masks are probably just journalists on here being involved, but I'd probably say, maybe just less than 5% of the folks that are actually here participating are, doing the social distancing, the mask thing. But it's just, it's their prerogative. There's definitely people who were, saying they weren't wearing a mask because they already were infected a few months ago and they got better. So it's almost like similar to the rhetoric you hear with the president, after his treatment. So.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how there are some parts of the country that are blowing up with COVID-19, and you don't see people at all come together in groups of more than 5. And then we're here in Arizona now, and a group of 50, the majority of them without masks. Actually, this is family with masks. It looks like. Actually, really quick, can we see the sign that what person is holding?
This gentleman right here.
Yes. Yeah. Are you able to tune in with what they're saying?
It's a political warfare technique. Yeah, my name is Jake, and if you want to, you can find me on YouTube. Yellowstone Wolf is the name of my channel. I only have a few videos on there because my YouTube got deleted. That had like hundreds of videos.
When you have a second, Lucas, if I think his name from what he said was Jake, if you could ask Jake a couple of questions about what he's doing out there, why he's dressed up. I think that'd be really interesting.
I think they're answering right now.
I mean, we have to end human trafficking. We have to end child trafficking. We have to end human slavery, which child trafficking, human trafficking is a modern-day slave trade. And there are more slaves now all over the world than there ever has been throughout history. So I am here to help people in our republic to understand how deep this level of infiltration goes. It isn't just at the polls. Okay, it isn't just people like Joe Biden, the vice president at one time. Okay, it is a bunch of levels within our system. And right now, what we're witnessing is all these operatives, these infiltrators, are all spewing the same propaganda that is this communist propaganda of the COVID-19 84 virus. We have to lock everything down. You need to wear masks. And you need to stay 6 feet away from me. I can't see you smile. We're not to look at each other. Did you know they were even saying that in some of these states, that you're not supposed to look at each other? Okay? And I don't know if you know, but in some countries throughout the world, they force slaves to wear a mask as a way of dehumanizing them.
Okay. As far as this, do you think that there is election fraud?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Okay. Here's the thing. Honest people don't need to kick lawyers out of the room if they're doing honest stuff. Okay? So if they cannot do what it is that they're doing in plain sight, then they're doing something deceptive. It's almost like, when your kids are trying to get away with something, do they do it right in front of you? I mean, sometimes, yes. But most of the time, no. They try to do it away from the parent. They try to do it behind closed doors. Okay? What we're witnessing with these people is just a bunch of grown kids trying to win the popularity contest because they don't like Trump. And they're trying to hijack the election through voter fraud, through this stuff with the Sharpies, through this whole thing of ballot harvesting or mail-in ballots, through basically hijacking the election through the media and the complicit assets and infiltrators that are on the ground. This is a team effort here that is being fought on multiple fronts and multiple battlefields.
I just flagged a couple of comments that just got put in the chat. Adrian Anaya puts, his source of information seems ill-informed. We also have another comment that says, clearly we know where he's getting his information from. And that was from Katung Aruak. Again, apologies if I mispronounced your name. Lucas, I think what Jake, the person who you just got some video of, was talking about was this idea of election fraud, and Trump putting in lawsuits and everything. But I think as what we could see when the Michigan lawsuit, it got thrown out just 6 hours ago. The court said that there was no real evidence. They're pushing people out or not allowing people to see what did not tamper with the election itself. There was nothing that went wrong, and there was no grounds for the election. So because of that, they threw it out. So I think it's really interesting how the whole, Republican Party continues to try and push the idea that there's fraudulent, mishaps or, dirty, I don't know, just they're tampering with the election. And after already the Michigan state has thrown it out. And then as we saw here, they're continuing to do so.
Yeah, it just really reminds me of, the rhetoric we've seen for months prior that, this is how things are going to be. Everyone needs to prepare for this election fraud. But in that same regard, where is the actual evidence and where are the things that are going on, and so that's a big thing. And I've been in there watching them count ballots, since the first day they started. And there's definitely been observers. There hasn't been a time where I've gone in there when there wasn't both Republican and Democratic observers at the same time. So a lot of these fears that are being projected are, with just looking at what's going on, they're really placated. So.
Yeah, no, of course. And then one last thing I see in the chat, Lori Bryant posts, it's going to the Supreme Court, not to Democratic judges. And actually in one of the, I think just less than an hour ago, President Trump went on in a press conference with the country, since his 2-3 a.m. press conference back on Wednesday morning, telling the world that he did want to go to the Supreme Court with these cases. He was going to bring it to the highest court that there is. And so we'll see if it gets there. We'll see what happens. But as we know, this is going to be a very long just election. It's going to go over days, and this won't be the end of it from what we hear right now.
That's exactly it. And I see, I think it was Lori in the stream. She's saying that, there's these issues with the Sharpies. I mean, that's already been addressed, by almost every county recorder and a lot of different officials, where they're saying, hey, look, if there are any issues with our machines running this, we're going to count by hand. So it's definitely already kind of been addressed in a lot of different ways. But I think these people are just here because they're concerned, and also because they feel invalidated by the election itself. So.
Yeah, of course. One other thing, I just see a really big, another big comment, Adrian Anaya posts, Trump tells his supporters not to vote by mail, but in person. But people are shocked when mail-in ballots are mostly Biden. Trump's been saying for months that if he loses the election, it's rigged. He's been priming voters with that mentality for a long time now. And I think that is exactly what he's been doing. And he even said it in his press conference just an hour ago, that even months ago he's been saying that it's going to be rigged. Doing mail-in votes is going to be bad. There's always going to be a problem no matter what. But then the answer is, we're in a pandemic. What are we supposed to do in this time where people can't go out, can't meet, can't vote like regular? I think, again, it's an unprecedented election. No matter what party you're in, I think that this is uncertain times. But I think stooping to the level of accusing other parties for tampering with an election without having proper evidence, I think just to cause turmoil and unrest within your own party, I think that that's upsetting a lot of people within both sides. So.
Agreed, and I think that's why you're looking at Trump's Twitter feed this morning, just covered in warnings about incorrect information and things, and I think that's kind of where we're at right now. Like, a lot of people don't really care about what mainstream media or what anyone else says. They are 100% on Team Trump when it comes to where the truth is coming from. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Great. Well, do you have anything else? Is there anything else going on out there, Lucas, or is that about wraps up for the coverage for today?
No, that's totally it. I've been up here pretty early, and I'm expecting to be back here at I think 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll hop on live then.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, everyone. This is Lucas Milken. He's an independent freelance reporter out in the streets of Arizona covering the Trump rally. My name is Marco Torres, your host, and this has been election coverage on HAPS, the network of now. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video.